Hey class, Dr. D is here to talk to you about Module 2 expectations and going over Module 1. This video is going to look over a little bit about some house cleaning issues, Module 1, and I'll tell you about the stuff you're doing in Module 2. I've got my rubric as always and my laptop here pulled up with our work at our class website. And now's a good time to pause the video and go get yours set up so you can follow along. So the first thing is, I have a lot of grading to do. I'm going to be grading Module 1 graded work that you did this week and providing feedback. And prior to that, there was no work to do, so I don't have any work to talk about that has been done because we just finished the first module of our course. Usually this is the time of the video where I would go over the work I graded. However, there was no prior work. So as I grade Module 1, I'll be incorporating that later. And you'll be seeing the feedback in the assignment rubric and feedback that I provide per assignment. Got my water back again too in case I need it. And what I'm going to focus on here is talking to you about Module 2. It's a very fun module. This is a lot of exciting work. I really believe the second part of the course is getting to enjoy the fruits of your labor from the first course. And it's really exciting as we move on. And let's kick it off with Module 2. And I'm going to go over the work that you have for Module 2. You have a discussion and you have a milestone paper, the project milestone 2, and it's a really fun one, so you guys should enjoy this. But let me talk about your discussion first. Number 1, please make sure you read all the material for Module 2 that you're required to. It's going to contribute to your discussion as well as understanding the milestone 2 project. Once you've read the required readings and all the resources, your discussion wants you to talk about some principles that you genuinely and generally believe that are important when you make a questionnaire or a survey. So you read all your material. If I were you, I would take a piece of paper out and I would jot down what are some principles, general principles, that you believe are important. An example would be if I did this, some general principles for me are that my questions can't be leading. They can't be offensive. General principles, my questions have to accurately measure what I'm intending to measure. So if I'm trying to measure height, I wouldn't be asking questions about weight unless it's pertaining to the research topic, if you understand what I'm saying there. So think about general principles, and your reading this week is going to help shape those ideas for you. So once you've written down your general principles, start your discussion, and I have it here, and you're going to talk to each other about your principles and how they may not easily be applied to questionnaires. You're going to pick one, and you have 3 to pick, the Big 5, the procrastination scale, or the disgust scale. They all sound really fun. I would like to do all of them. But you're going to notice that the key theme for Module 2 is making your survey. We also call a survey a questionnaire. We also call this an instrument. And the questions that go on your survey are called items. So when you hear the word items, that means each individual question. When you hear the word survey, questionnaire, that is also an instrument. So an instrument is a survey or questionnaire, and an item is a question on your survey. So you're in your discussion. You're going to pick one of these inventories. Also, I'm sorry, I left out inventory is also like a questionnaire. So you have your inventory or instrument. So don't get hung up too much about how the questions were formed. But I want you to think about your principles you wrote down, the general ones, and then regarding your principles, how do these stand against that? Okay? Focus on the principles you developed regarding item wording, response options, and question order. I always think response options. Have you ever taken a survey and it says ethnicity, and then you circle an ethnicity, and then it goes to race, and then your race doesn't fit? If you happen to not have your race or ethnicity readily available on a survey, if you've ever encountered that. It's quite interesting. And what happens if you don't identify with one of the race or ethnicity options that is provided for you, right? So you're often left marking other, and oftentimes other doesn't get measured. So that's a great example to kick you off in your discussion, and as well form a general principle. So for me, maybe I'm going to have a general principle to include as many race and ethnicity categories as I can think of, so I can capture what I am trying to obtain. Because what if my study is about differences in race and ethnicity? I better make sure that I'm listing as many collectively as I can to make sure that I'm capturing that. Okay, let's shift gears and go to the milestone 2. I have it open here, and this is really fun. You're going to be sending me your survey, and we'll just call it a survey in this video so we can follow along easily. I know there's many other words, but we'll just call it a survey. So I'm going to go over the rubric. I have it in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 things to cover in the rubric. As always, I'm starting with the first one in exemplary, and I'm working my way down. So let's look at number 1, introduction. Includes a clear statement of purpose and a motivational message encouraging participation. This could be 3 to 5 sentences where you're telling the user what this survey is about. The purpose of this survey is to measure X, Y, and Z, and so forth. You're going to read about this week in Module 2. And then a motivational message. So what that means is you are highly encouraged to participate in this survey. You may even include, however, if you feel this is not for you, you may opt out at any time, blah, 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 blah. But have a very strong introduction. Remember, think, you're giving this to someone who's never laid eyes on it. And in fact, once you create your milestone project, it may be good for you to give it to a family member or someone at your house or friend and say, did I have a clear introduction? Do I have a clear statement? Did you feel motivated by the message? Trust me, these are very important things to do, and I encourage you to do this. So let's move forward. Number 2, instructions. Instructions are clear and easy to follow, reflecting a well-designed instrument. What that means is a well-written survey is going to be easy to follow. So I would put, and I'm thinking, you're making your survey in probably Word, Microsoft Word, but the next piece, have a little thing that says instructions. Please answer yes or no to the following 10 questions. Or maybe you have yes, no, not applicable. However you word it, you want to instruct them correctly. And again, here's that piece. Tell your friend, ask them after they read your survey, did I provide clear and easy to follow instructions? Nobody's going to be a better critic than your family member or friend to say, you know what, I was kind of confused. You told me to answer yes or no, but what if I don't want to answer yes or no? Is there an option for that? Ooh, that's a good point. Maybe you need to put something that says, regarding that, and your friend or family member will tell you. So if they say, yeah, you gave clear, easy instructions, I felt like I understood all of it, that's a good sign. Number 3, clarity of questions. Questions are crystal clear, think of that, and a person would not have to ask for clarification. The questions are now those things that we call items. So let's pretend Dr. Diaz has a 10-item survey. I have 10 questions. Are all 10 of my questions clear and understandable? Better yet, are they crystal clear? I'll be asking my family member or friend, did each question seem crystal clear to you? And they go, all of them except number 7. I really don't know what you're asking me. First you told me you wanted to know if I watch online videos, and then it said, mark yes or no, but I watch all kinds of online videos, so what did you want me to do? Basically, I should have asked, do you watch instructional online videos for class? That's a more precise and well-written question than just, do you watch online videos? So ask your family member or friend, were your questions crystal clear? Are you actually capturing what you're trying to measure? So again, if you guys remember from our last class in Psych 510, my made-up experiment for Dr. Diaz is, I want to measure those who watch online educational videos for their class versus those who don't, and I think those who do watch the videos will get a higher grade in the course than those who do not. So my questions on my survey, my 10 questions, should be very clear and in measuring what I'm trying to capture. Okay, next one, number 4, response choices. The response choices need no interpretation and are appropriate for every question. Turn to that family member or friend. Did the responses you had to choose from, did they make sense? Were they clear? Did you need to understand it? Did I have to interpret anything for you? So if I have a question such as, how often do you watch online instructional educational videos? Please circle 1. And I have A, B, C, or D. And A says 0 to 5 hours a week. B, 6 to 10. C, 11 to 15. D, 16 to 20 hours per week. So maybe my question should say, how many hours of online educational video do you watch per week? All of a sudden, you notice how I just developed a finer tuned question, and then the response choices are crystal clear at that point. 0 to 5 hours, 6 to 10 hours, and then the respondent will circle one of them. You may also want to include in your instructions, please circle only one answer. Oftentimes people circle 1 or 2 at a time. However, I know we're delivering this online. You still want to make that clear as if you were handing it to someone in person. Please, how about this? Please select one answer for each question. Something like that. That's a crystal clear instruction. Okay, number 5, content. All essential questions are properly addressed without duplication. What that means is, while you're conducting your research and you're making this survey, you don't want redundant questions. You could, I might be getting ahead of our class in this conversation, but there is such a thing, and I know some of you will know this because I know some of you work in human resources and you've seen this, but you could easily have a survey, and if it's 20 questions, 5 of those questions could be mixed around and trying to get to the same thing, and that's trying to get accuracy and reliability in the test respondents. But for our purpose of our class, what I'm trying to see from you under content in this rubric is that the questions aren't redundant, and I'll give you an example. In my Dr. Diaz's 10 question survey, my question number 3 says, how many hours of online educational videos do you watch per week? And then my question number 4 says, are you likely to watch online educational videos than not? Yes or no? That's redundant, right? They already indicated in question 3 that they do, and this is how often. I don't need to ask that again. So this is the matter of blatant redundancy. If somebody asks, do you meditate weekly? Yes or no? Yes. And the next question, are you more likely to not meditate weekly? Yes or no? It's redundant. It's getting back and forth to the same thing, and we're not capturing the essence of what we're trying to address here in our research. Okay, so that's the content. I noticed really quick on content, if I move from exemplary to proficient, notice what it says. Proficient says all essential questions are properly addressed, though there may be redundancy. So if I see redundancy, we have to grade accordingly. So I encourage you to, once again, ask your friend or family member, did any of these questions seem repetitive or redundant to you? And they'll tell you, yeah, number 9 and 10 sound the same. I don't know what you want from that. The last one, this is not something for you, but it's an overall evaluation of your survey. The submission is free of errors related to citations, grammar, spelling, syntax, and organization, and is presented in a professional and easy-to-read format. So what that means for me is, overall, was this correct? And let's review it overall. Number 1, I'm going to give you the example of the perfect instrument that you're going to make in Word doc and submit it. Number 1, you had a very clear statement and a motivational message. Number 2, your instructions were clear and easy to follow. Your questions are crystal clear. They're understanding. Your response choices need no interpretation. They're not confusing. The participant does not get lost in them. And lastly, number 5, your content accurately addresses your research topic and it's not redundant or repetitive. I wouldn't be concerned about citing. This is a survey, so believe it or not, this is the first time Dr. Diaz is going to say this. You do not have to cite for a survey. You have to cite for a lit review, chapter 1 introduction, your methodology, chapter 4's results, chapter 5's discussion, but the survey instrument itself does not need citation. So don't worry, guys. I put it in my video. You have it in writing, in video writing here of me saying it. And that covers the rubric for milestone 2. This wraps up what you have to do this week. You've got your discussion and your milestone 2, which is creating your survey. I think it's going to be really fun. And some pointers to keep in mind when you're doing this. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Remember your audience. You're working with SNHU graduate master's students in the participant pool. You're maybe going to get 30 people. Keep your questions limited. I would recommend, do you want to sit there and take a 30-question survey? Is it necessary to could you capture your work, your research focus in less questions than 30? I'm only picking that number because it seems high for a survey. I want you for some pointers. I want you to think, number 1, what is my research topic? Number 2, what am I trying to capture? And you're going to know what you're trying to capture by reading your research question. And how many questions would I need to capture this? And remember, questions also involve demographic questions such as, please select gender, M or F. Please select an age group. And then you'd have grouping of ages or specific numbers depending on what you want to do. So remember to include demographics as your questions. Save them. Those are usually saved towards the end of a survey. The first part of a survey has content questions, and then the second half has demographics because they're easy. Like a demographic question. Please type in the state abbreviation that you reside in. VA for Virginia, AZ for Arizona, MD for Maryland, so forth. But think how many questions you're going to capture. I recommend you to have a minimum of 10. If you don't have enough, you're not going to capture what you're trying to research. So rule of thumb, have a minimum of 10. All right, guys, have a good week. I'm going to be grading Module 1. I look forward to seeing your work, and I hope you're doing well. Take care.